Okay. Just imagine you could think of the same breath, the inhalation and exhalation, and you could think that the divine is pulling the strings of your breath, inhalation, exhalation, activating the body into action. That is jnana, that's pure knowledge. The way you look at it, that your body, your mind, your everything becomes active when the strings of your breath are being pulled by the divine. There's another way of looking at it. There's a song there. तन के तंबूरे में दो सांसों की थार बोले जय सिया राम राम जय राधे श्याम श्याम. Your body is tamboor. You know tamboor. These people use that while singing. The body is the tamboor. Dosas, they are like the strings. So if you play on the strings of your body, the strings of breath on the body, Jai Siya Ram Ram, Jai Sita Ram, Jai Radhe Shyam. It's bhakti, na? Where your heart strings are pulled with such longing. Just see, both are true. There are two ways. One is bhakti. In bhakti, you think that the strings of the breath, inhalation, exhalation, singing the music of heart, the name of the beloved. In jnana, the same two strings are being pulled by the divine puppeteer so that this puppet would go into action. You understand what I mean? Two views far removed from each other but conveying the same thing. One is of the heart, the other is of the head. Both are beautiful. Imagine this to be a puppet, and the in-breath, out-breath, in-breath, out-breath, the strings are being pulled straight by the divine puppeteer, and then this puppet will go into action. And it begins to play the role, any role, whatever is allotted to this. A man's role, or a woman's role, or a child's role, or a bird's role, or a tree's role. So that is one way of looking at it. The other is, you think of the beloved is the Parabrahman. And then you long to be one. You just want to jump into the ocean of love, the fire of love. And then the same breath, in breath, out breath, they become the same strings, but these strings, instead of just going up and down, activating, they begin to sing the name of the beloved. It's a music of the heart for the beloved, and you want to jump into this ocean of fire and be consumed in that fire of love. This beloved has no form. He is no man, he is no woman. He is just a pure bundle of love, bundle of pure love. You can feel it. That's why many people, when they when they chant the name, they start crying. Without knowing, the strings of the heart are being pulled into this fire of love inside. The beloved. The beloved is the love ocean. It's a consuming fire. It is at once a flood and fire. But the heart must open and love must flood out. Between the two, which is beautiful, more beautiful? One is the way of looking at it in wisdom. The other is pure love. The love consuming all that is to be consumed. That's what I'm saying. When you sing the name, you mustn't do anything else. I see people cleaning the flowers, doing this and doing that, and then singing. The singing must be done with your entire mind. Close your eyes, close your ears. Bind, tie your hands, tie them up. And then be consumed in the love of the beloved. The Nama invokes fire of love inside. If you care to build one. And then it's even beyond meditation. And it's all consuming. The other is, think that this instrument is being activated by the divine, and then you can, when you concentrate on this idea, you suddenly find you become a witness, and then you feel the Paravani, the supreme voice, the voice beyond, begins to sing. And then you hear the singing, you witness the singing going on from the navel. The sound starts and then it's going on. And you see the voice going into the depths of the being. I don't know what I am saying. Just forgive me. I really don't know what I am saying. Just something that I go through while singing sometimes. But you understand? You understand something? It's not just singing together, singing with music, all that. You give yourself totally inside while singing the name. It's not just singing the name. It is sinking into the depth of the beloved. The beloved is inside you. You have to feel. If you don't feel, ask for longing of that. You have to beg God, please give me longing. Give me longing for God. Give me longing for God. Please give me longing. Let me long for you and die. Let me die out of this longing. Otherwise it's no use. All the spiritual practices have no value if you don't feel this longing. Even if you adopt self-enquiry, there must be longing to find the truth of your being. An all-consuming longing. If you don't have it, you have to beg God for it. You keep on begging, 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 and He would take pity on you one day and throw a bone or two. If your spiritual practice doesn't end in longing for God, if you don't develop this longing for God, it's no use talking volumes. You remember one day when sannyasi had come here and he was talking about bhakti, and even he could not complete the sentence and he started crying. You remember? That is it. He could not get beyond 2 sentences. Every time he would start talking and then he would end up crying. Ask Him for it. Ask God for it. Because this longing can be given only by the divine. Like Ramakrishna says, we cry buckets of tears for this thing and that thing, for this person, that person, people related to the body, or something that you held very dear and is lost now. How much we cry. And these tears are precious. The tears of longing for God are very precious. Precious to God. He would love them. I remember a funny story. There were 2 brothers. One brother was very devoted to God, and he would invite great bhaktas to come and sing bhajans in the house, and he would be swayed by the flood of love. And there was his brother, younger brother, who was a non-believer. And he would always think, what a lot of noise it is. Why would these people gather here, then shout and scream like this? What's the use? They could go out and work or do something, make merry, or work and earn. Why are they wasting time like this? And then one day a Mahatma had come to do the bhajans, and this younger man, the non-believer, was thinking, my God, what nonsense, what nuisance, all that. And then suddenly he heard it was too much for him, and then I believe he closed his ears and he wanted to scream, stop it, stop it. When he was about to do it, there was a sudden change in him. He heard the singing of this Mahatma, and suddenly it was it was like haunting. It was a haunting melody, and something went inside him. And then he began to cry without knowing why he was crying. There were tears, and he could not dismiss it as noise. Something started to melt inside. And then he came straight to this Mahatma, prostrated at his feet. And he said, I don't know what is happening to me by your singing. You are so great. At least now I think so. And then the Mahatma smiled and said, no, you are great. No, Swamiji, you have sacrificed everything in your life for the sake of God. And then Swamiji just dismissed the whole thing with a sweep of his hand and said, what is it? I have sacrificed this and this, useless things for the sake of God. Whereas you have sacrificed God for the sake of these useless things, you are great. You are the one who is great because you have sacrificed God Himself for the sake of these useless world. It is easier, to discard all that is unwanted, all those rubbish. And settle for God who is priceless. So many of us have sacrificed God for the sake of this tinsel world. So we are supposed to be great. So we have to pray. And when we keep on praying, somewhere something would happen and the heart would begin to melt. And then you find a transformation. You know the story of Ahalya. She was cursed by her husband to become stone. And then she would be lying there in a place of stone. And then I came across this sentence that Ahalya was lying down as a stone and she was suffering for many years. I was thinking, my God, how can a stone suffer? A stone has no feeling. That's what we think. So how can she be a stone at once and suffer also? But this stone is not that stone that you see. The heart has become stone. And then the feeling comes, oh, my heart is so much like stone, hard. And there's no feeling. And you feel that there is no feeling. And that is the suffering there. And then I understood that she had lost all her sensitivities when she became the stone. Her love for God, her love for finer things of life. And she was suffering from a stone heart. It must be terrible for someone who has gone through the highest sensitivity. So for many of us, the heart is like that. But we are stone-hearted in a different sense, because many people, they do not even know they are missing something in life by not thinking about God, but not getting to know about God and love. What do you think? So pray, cry, If you cannot cry, again you ask for this. God, let me cry for you. Let me not be the stone. So the stone-hearted people must begin to suffer. How to suffer? Oh, I'm not getting finer feelings. I'm so insensitive like a stone. I have no feeling for God. I do not know the higher life. And as you keep on feeling, you won't get the higher feeling. You won't get any love for God. You won't get any longing for God, and you would suffer. This is suffering. This is what Ahalya was going through, I suppose, because when I heard that after she became stone, she was suffering. She was lying there as a stone and suffering. She was a higher being. Okay, if you can ask something if you want.
The whole body of Ahalya was converted into stone. So in that body there was a heart, and so the
Yes.
heart was part of stone.
No. The heart also becomes stone. That is the suffering. Meaning, you want to feel something, you want to feel love, but you cannot feel. How many of us feel that? I had felt it sometimes, that you would, when you want to melt before God, suddenly you don't feel anything and then you stand there like a stone. And it's terrible. And then when you go through the different stages of your spiritual practice, there comes a time when you get completely dried up. All that flood of love and longing that has been with you will desert you all of a sudden, and then you feel a dryness, a vacuum, and you don't feel this attraction to God. And then it is called the dark night of the soul. It's terrible. Because you have known the higher regions, you have known the Ananda, the highest Ananda, but then you are thrown into Karagriha, that is the dark room, the cellar. It's called the dark night of the soul. Every soul goes through it, sometime or the other. You read about Aurobindo, Sri Aurobindo, Ramakrishna Paramahansa. There would come a time in our practice when no practice would be possible. Suddenly you feel utter helplessness. And the heart is completely dry. No bhakti, no jnana, no dhyana, no activity. You feel like a stone. Then I understood this is what she must have gone through. When you had lived in a mansion, you always had sumptuous food, all the comforts, all the luxuries of life, and suddenly you are thrown on the street and you feel thirsty, hungry, and the body is begging you to rest somewhere, and there's no place, there is no food, no water available, no food available. It's like that. Yogi Ramsuratkumar. So pray. Prayer is very natural to us. And prayer has power. Hold on to his feet and cry and cry. Cry your heart out. God, please give me longing for you. Give me love for you. Give me longing for you. Let me die of this longing. Even if you don't appear before me, even if I don't get consumed by this love, let me at least die of this longing. Once I think Swami, when I was going through something like this, he wrote 2 lines and sent to me. And the 2 lines were, let the heat of suffering become fire of longing. How beautiful it is. Let the heat of suffering become fire of longing. He was blessing me, and it turned into fire of longing. He knew what the devotees go through. So when these 2 lines came to me, my God, you can imagine a drowning man suddenly getting grips on a lifeline. All sadhaks go through this at some point or the other. But you call it dark night because you had seen the bright day. Otherwise you wouldn't even know it's a dark night. It would be very casual. You know how beautiful it is when somebody shows love, care, concern. So we want this love for God. How beautiful it is when somebody shows love to you. So long for this love. While chanting the name, pray, pray, pray. Nama chanting is very powerful, and with that you all keep praying also. And suddenly one day you would experience all of a sudden a flood of love for God. And once you get a taste of that, you wouldn't want to settle down for anything else. Meera was crying so much out of separation from God, but she would say in a song or two, this longing, this flood of tears, this pain of the heart is so beautiful, so joyful. I wouldn't settle for anything else, she said. In one place she says, if love for God, if love for Krishna is such pain, I would never have looked at him even. And then in another place she says, when you have gone through this longing, the fire of longing for God, and once you taste the joy of this longing, you wouldn't want anything else in life. You wouldn't settle for anything else in life. So we should pray, chant the name, because every time you chant the name, pure divine energy is released inside you. And it cleanses you. What do I mean by cleansing? The desires the unwanted desires for this and that will be removed, will get dropped. And there will be less fear, less anger, less jealousy. As you keep on chanting more and more and more, as the Nama begins to do its transforming work, this fear, anger, jealousy, desire, self-pride, all that will become less and less and less. The cleansing will take place. And with that, pray, cry.